everyone, welcome again to my YouTube channel, Chill Hobbies with GSRV. Those are my initials, PH, that's from the Philippines. As in the past, I've talked about my hobbies of a retired woman and just dwelling on hobbies that sometimes turned into businesses like my bags, my former or previous videos, and singing. Now I'd like to talk about another one of my hobbies, and hopefully will remain a hobby for our family because it's expensive. Traveling. Now, more specifically, I know there are a lot of travel vloggers already, but what I'd like to dwell on in this particular video is the realization of a 50 plus year old about the difference between traveling before, helped or aided by travel agencies, and now with online travel agencies or travel apps, mobile apps, such as Agoda or Klook, and it's Klook that I used. By the way, this is not a sponsored video. Well, if you guys will help me increase my subscribers, maybe Klook or China Airlines or PAL will, which I took, the airlines we took and booked on, will probably sponsor me in the future. Hello, shout out to them. Okay, let's start by saying this. Throughout my life, my single life, and then when I got married and had kids, I was able to travel already to the United States, Australia, particularly in Brisbane, Singapore several times, Hong Kong several times. Now, they've always been through travel agencies. So if it's personal, we contact the travel agency or go to travel agency. By the way, I also use to AI to edit my videos. Shout out to Gling. They're very good. Whenever I also put English as the medium of conversation or captions. Well, okay, back to that. So we book with travel agencies. And when it's a business trip or in training, my secretaries used to just book or make my bookings through travel agencies. But now I had the experience of first time booking it by myself through online apps. Okay, let's start with the flights. At first, hold on. I also got my inspiration from other travel vloggers like Marvin Samako. Shout out to Marvin. I learned so much from your vlogs. They're very down to earth and very practical because he's used to traveling alone, which I couldn't do. I love traveling with my family. Now with my kids, I'm a widow. So I miss traveling with my husband, which we used to do sometimes and sometimes with his medical associations. But anyway, okay, go straight to the airlines. Okay. So at first it was PAL, of course. That was my choice. But then I couldn't see the seat plan. For that particular time slot, I wanted a 10:30 a.m. flight, which was very much coveted. And I was comparing the prices. It's the highest, one of the highest period of flights. Of course, the cheapest are the red eye flights, which I wasn't willing to do because I knew that we were traveling. By the way, this was our trip to Taiwan, which I'm featuring now, was last April. So that was Holy Week. And so it was the peak season for traveling. So I knew that we had to be in the airport hours before. So 10:30 minus 3, that's 7:30, and then you give an allowance. We live in QC, so to go to or the airport, that's you have to give a leeway of around 1.5 hours. Shorter now because of the Skyway. So that's 7:30 minus 1, 6:30, 6 o'clock. So you have to wake up at around 5 o'clock. So that's enough, well, that's sacrifice for the Holy Week. That's a sacrifice already for the Holy Week. And we're very grateful to God that we were able to get into this travel in the first place. But in terms of going on a vacation, and yet you'll have to sacrifice on a red eye flight. So I wasn't willing to do that also, and I didn't want the kids to suffer because this is their much coveted break from work, from office, their own respective offices. So I couldn't see the C plan in PAL. So it turned out it was being operated by China Airlines. So I went directly to China Airlines and booked a flight, a 10:30 a.m. flight. And then going back home, I booked PAL because I was choosing a near evening, late afternoon to near evening flight para masulit. So I can get the whole, we just booked for a 2-day, 3 days, 2 nights travel and accommodation and tours in Taiwan. So I had to make the most of it. So I booked an evening flight going back home, the return flight. So that's my PAL. This was our flight from PAL. Okay, the app was a little bit difficult to navigate, but nevertheless okay. Oh, by the way, there is so much, how do you call it, curiosity, so much details that we had to go through with regard to the e-travel. Yeah, it was quite cumbersome. The details had to be ironed out because I also wanted to register e-travel and get separated QR codes for my kids. By the way, it started as a surprise supposedly for my board passer daughter who just recently passed the board in architecture. So this was my gift to her so that the travel with us and together with my son. So, but later on, I was able to get their schedules. But I was supposed to book the flights early on, even last year. However, I was scared that it was a surprise, but I might be surprised because they couldn't make it. Sometimes they have work, since they have foreign clients, they have work during Holy Week. So I booked the flights early on February already. So if your flight is near, everybody knows that there are higher prices now for the flights. So, well, I had to take the chance. By the way, one of the advantages also of booking by yourself is that, well, sitting pretty ka, if through travel agencies, you just sit down and let them all do the work. But they're non-refundable. So the tickets, the accommodations, etc., the tour packages are non-refundable if you have to go on that day. Remember, I was initially planning it as a surprise. So what I did, so I booked later, hence the higher flight rates. However, I booked with Klook all the accommodations, the hotel. I booked in Taipei Garden Hotel and the tours, all the tours and insurance also with Klook. By the way, I forgot to the beginners, first time to use Klook, that's supposed to be that's supposed to have a voucher, but I wasn't able to get it. I don't know. So shout out to Klook. Well, okay. So as for my Klook, waiting for our flight counter to open. I'm taking off by Taipei or Taiwan. We're now in Taipei. Off to the hotel. Very nice highways, tall buildings too, but a lot of greenery and vast, nice tunnels. And we reached the hotel. It's really five-star dining here in Taipei Garden Hotel. So it's breakfast buffet, and my kids are just getting their own meals. Nice. As for my Klook bookings, I booked all 5 from the insurance to the airport transfers so that our trip may be seamless. For data privacy, that's why I'm just showing this through my cell phone. I can choose later to post pictures, but sometimes photos can be taken a screenshot of. So I want to guard the privacy also of my kids. So I'll see if I can put in the videos or some photos. But in the meanwhile, I'll just show the cell phone or gallery pictures and data. Easy Card Taiwan. So I also bought SIM cards and how do you call it? Easy Card Taiwan for their 7-Eleven convenience stores. And then I booked Taipei private full day with driver. My kids didn't want to go with a package tour, a tour group that are really, really enjoyable. However, yeah, you get to meet people. However, at a certain time, you have to meet up here. You can't go on your way. And sometimes there are people you have to wait for. And when there are kids, sometimes they're crying, etc. So, okay, I booked private tours. Really, really more expensive, thrice or four times or even five times, because the package tours are only around 1,000 or so. This one is about 5,000. Kasi with a driver na. So it's the three of us with the driver. By the way, we had a very good tour guide driver, Alan Wang. Shout out to Alan Wang. He's very highly rated in Klook, and I can attest to his efficiency, his friendliness, his being accommodating. So I'll probably put this in his WhatsApp account, and he can speak English very well. Okay, I booked also the Taipei Garden Hotel. Okay, it was very good. It is a five-star hotel, and it's in the heart of Taipei. So all five bookings gave me a gold status with Klook, gold membership in Klook. Well, I just started all of these lately. I mean, later in life na. As I told you a while ago, I used to have bookings coursed through travel agencies always, and so I never had a hand. It's the first time I made a DIY type of booking, and so that's it. It was very enjoyable. I'll try to give you a videos and where we went. Okay, where did we go and book the private tour with a tour guide driver too? Hold on. Okay, we went to Yehliu, Jiufen, and Pingxi. So there was a geopark, the natural stone formations. You'll see it in the video. Beautiful. It was serene, and you'll wonder. Well, I'm wondering why it isn't one of the 8 wonders of the world or so, just like our Banawe rice terraces are. I think it's been tapped already by the historical institutes as a wonder of the world. But anyway, it's a geopark. You will see stone formations such as in the sea, which is just formed by tides, etc., in the form of a queen, an umbrella, etc. Very nice. They're wonderful. And then we went to the little shops. It's like going up a hill with little shops, and then seeing the temples. This was a provincial. I chose the provincial tour, and we didn't regret it, except there were really long walks with those stalls and to the waterfalls. I think that was Pingxi or anyway. So the waterfalls was pristine, and the walks were, it's enjoyable. However, it's kind of hot already because it was starting summer already when we went. It was spring, but at the tail end of the spring and going to summer already. And then in an old train station road, you release it in the air with your wishes and prayers. That was really, I'm glad I booked that. It was really enjoyable for the three of us, and we pray that our wishes come true. Okay.
Be able to see this. So while we still got a chance, we have a picture with it. Also,
Look at the rock formation. Those are natural rocks. So what season is it now?
it's turning into summer.
Okay.
Yeah, springtime.
Which is better?
In summertime, I couldn't possibly dress like this.
Can we take a picture here? I don't know if it's a video or a photo. I can't see it in the waterfalls. Hi, this is Alan Wong, and these are my two kids buying Bubba. There are the lanterns, like dots in the sky. There. It's drizzling. That's Arion painting his wishes now. Wishing for good health, blessings. Make it energy. Sorry, God. We're just dealing with the fatigue in walking. Dollars, pounds. Gina, Arion, and Sophie.
We'll take it. So it makes a very good family.
And our last breakfast in the dining area of the cafe. And my son is back at home. My daughter is picking up the candies courtesy of the hotel. Thank God for this blessing.